Okay, so your dips don't seem very big.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was really diligent about balancing it because I grew up with parents that battled depression. So I knew, like, I saw my dad go swim every single day. And I was like, oh, he's not doing that because he likes the water. You know what I mean? He's doing that
He's
because...
doing that because he's cheating on my mom.
Yeah, it's swimming.
And he has an excuse.
It's swimming. That wet. No, but he's in there because he got to keep the mood up. You know what I mean? Like, so I saw that, and like, even at like a young age, I was like, okay, I gotta monitor this. I can't let this get too far.
Okay. It's funny because nobody does.
Nobody
knows that.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who's taken that lesson. It's all the shit that we all learn, and you have to exercise, and you have to do regular tasks and sun. Yeah,
I was doing sun before ice baths and shit. I was doing sun like when I was a kid. It'd be winters. I'd be like, I don't think I was outside enough. I'm gonna go find a place with sun, and I'm just gonna sit in it. And I know it sounds stupid and like holistic or whatever, but it kind of like helped me. And I knew that I couldn't operate at the highest level of stand-up, or I couldn't even get better at it unless this shit up here was good.
Right.
And the more cool and calm I was up here, the better that was on stage. And the more in my head I was, and the more kind of like crippled I was by maybe like anxiety or being depressed about something, being just down in general, the worse it was going to be on stage. Unless the stage becomes like the magical moment where you just get to vomit all that shit out. And those sets are just, you can't plan them, you can't do anything, but sometimes it's like you're at your limit, you have nothing. I remember specific sets where it's like, I was like, I'm fucking down, this sucks, and I just let it out on stage. And there's something about the audience, there's something about those people there where they know it's real and authentic, and they're into it, they're locked, and there's a button you can push, and it can't be recreated. That is the crazy thing
about it. You could say it verbatim the next night.
And I would try.
And it doesn't. It's not the same. You know, when a joke, you first start doing a joke, and it'll work. For 3 weeks, it works at 110%.
Yeah.
And then it dips down to like 97.
Yeah.
I was talking to Mulaney one time. I go, I would love to get one of those bits on TV. And he goes, I did it. He did a Conan set when he first started doing his Law and Order bit in like the first 3 weeks. And it's, I mean, by the way, the set's fucking crushing.
Yeah.
And he doesn't dress, it's shitty jeans, and but he actually did the thing of like, he was able to capture that harness, that 110% energy.
Yeah.
And so does your brother do it? Was your brother aware of the sort of like, we got to keep an eye on this?
No.
Or did your parents even say, is it truly just modeled behavior? Or did they say like, hey, you know, you might, from time to time, it might get a little foggy up here.
No, I think my parents were like very open about a lot of stuff. Like I could share anything with my folks and it wasn't weird. Yeah, and they would also. You know what I mean? Like my parents talked about depression and like kind of how it works. And when I was young, I didn't understand really what it was. Even like in high school, I would take my dad to the cellar because I thought if you're sad and then you laugh, now you're happy.
Yeah.
So we would just go. When he would tell me he's kind of like down, we would just go to the cellar. You know what I mean? Like, also, my mom is old when she has me and older when she has my brother. So
how old was your mom?
My mom was 40 when she had my brother. And I'm 39. So this is back in the day before.
My mom had me when she was 40.
So you dealt with menopause.
You know what's funny is I've gone like, was she on menopause? Like,
bro, my mom had her period for 2 months once. It was like, and it was like, she was just wilding. Like, it was just a crazy situation. And I didn't understand what the fuck it was. I was like, does this lady hate me? Like, what's going on?
How do you know she had her period for 2 months?
Because my dad told me, because I was like, what's up with this lady? My mom's a little wild. My mom,
was she like rotten? She was like being an asshole?
So my dad was more the nurturer and my mom was more like the provider.
Oh, that's funny.
So like my dad was there like emotionally and everything. Now I don't want to take anything away from my mom because I could tell my mom anything and like I felt no judgment at all. But she was a little bit more strict and it was her business. You should
own a restaurant.
Yeah.
For real.
I've put multiple restaurants in the ground, so I don't know if
I'm saying like you should own, like you're the kind of guys like I just picture you like the nurturer part of you. Like,
yeah.
You good? Can I get you anything?
I do that. Maybe that's one of my blocks. I like people to feel comfortable.
You've suffered from depression as an adult. And have you tracked it down? What do you think? Maybe there's a reason.
No,
Is it chemical?
I tracked it to ADHD. That was can I tell you, man, the most frustrating thing look, you know me, I love puzzles.
Mhm.
There's few things I love more than solving a puzzle, like something that's wrong,
Yep.
figuring out.
And if she happens to be gorgeous, even better. Go ahead.
I love solving a puzzle.
Uh-huh.
It's been so frustrating to me realizing how little time we've just put into thinking about the possibility that there is something else that's happening to people as opposed to these broad things.
Yeah.
Shame, you suffer from shame.
Yeah.
Like an example, I was talking to Gerard Carmichael.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen Gerard's reality show, but in it, he's just having sex everywhere, all the time, everything.
Wild.
Right? Like wild, sucking toes, doing
Sucking
it all.
toes.
Yeah, exactly. And so Gerard and I are speaking, and I say to Gerard, I go, hey, man, I see you do a lot of therapy trying to dig, and trying to get to the bottom of this. And a lot of it is about shame. They're like, you have shame. That's why you go on dating apps. You have shame. That's why you want to have sex with people. You have shame. That's why you cannot control yourself. You have shame.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said to him, I was like, hey, just quick question. Has anyone tested you for ADHD? And he's like, no. I'm like, it's interesting that you've spent this much time in therapy. And the first thing everyone has gone to is shame. But something nobody has considered, if you just look at some of these triggers, some of these things that you talk about, a lot of them can be attributed to something we understand. And so in the same way, people have started understanding autism and Asperger's and, all these. I feel like ADHD was one of the weirdest ones, and it's still one of the stranger ones, where people think, and so did I when I was young, that ADHD is, this kid can't pay attention, when in fact what it means is you are unable to control what you pay attention to. So generally when you have ADHD, you are paying more attention than most people, but to the wrong thing.
Right. To Super Mario Brothers.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be like I can be in a classroom. Let's say I'm in school. I'm in a classroom and there's like a little bird tapping at the window and the teacher's speaking. My brain is like, that bird is, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Most people are able to go, the bird is not consequential to what's happening right now. Turn it off.
Yeah.
Focus on the teacher. My brain sometimes goes, that bird, man, that bird is ridiculous. And I think many comedians have ADHD. I think many comedians become comedians and are good comedians because they have ADHD, because it's such a perfect environment for ADHD, and that
it gets rewarded.
Yeah, but it's like comedy is very distracting. There's a lot of people in an audience. It's a tightrope. You can never turn off. You can never get lazy. You can never become complacent.
Forces focus.
It really does. It really does. But it forces focus to the state of flow, and it keeps you engaged, and it pushes you. And that's a perfect environment for a comedian, and it's a perfect environment rather for somebody with ADHD. And so, in that, I'm talking to Gerard, and I go like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it's just weird that no one's considered this.
Yeah.
When you have the hallmarks, the guy stopped to get a hot dog and then missed his friend's wedding. Sounds a lot to me like ADHD, which a lot of people can misinterpret as just being an asshole, by the way. But it is executive dysfunction. And so when I think of these things and when I've learned what they mean for myself, when I think of life and you talk about, I go, oh man, it's you think it's depression, but then you realize that depression is oftentimes a symptom of something else. And I hope we get to the point where we start understanding depression a little bit more. Because if we just keep saying to people, you're depressed, essentially what we're saying is you're long-term sad. So we need to make you happy. But it's like, but what is making you depressed, I find is more interesting and actually gets to the core. And you get to that and you find depression. You and I used to talk about it all the time. I was like, man, I suffer from depression. People were like, do you? I was like, I think I do. I feel it all the time. And then when you understand ADHD, you're like, oh no.
And since I was younger, prone to depression, and I always just assumed, again, ignorance, I'm a depressive. I get depressed. And then it got pretty bad. There was a couple things that kind of triggered it when I was in Los Angeles. And then I started going to a therapist, which I had never done. And she was amazing. And then she recommended going to a psychiatrist, the one whoever can describe. Yeah. And I started seeing the psychiatrist, and he's the one who diagnosed me. He goes, yes, you've got anxiety. You've got this level of anxiety. And that was a real eye opener because I didn't know what true anxiety was. And then when I was
like it was functional, that was just your personality.
It's what I had and it's what I could treat. And I could treat it both with chemicals, which I did and do, and I can treat it by learning how to not go so deep, like come out of it a bit. And I remember one time I was in a car driving, and I was on Sunset trying to take a left on La Cienega. So do you remember that area?
Yeah.
And there's like a pink dot over there. I was looking down. I was looking my left, and I was looking down the hill, and I was seeing the Beverly Center, Beverly Connection. And
a beautiful view.
Yeah. And I've been in LA for maybe 2 years at that point. And I had like a real kind of panic attack. Like attack is too strong a word, but it was just
flood.
A flood. Yeah. It just overtakes, and the light turns green, and I can't go, and people are honking, and I'm just looking. I will say, I've been not all over the world, but I put that in my top 10 most stressful intersections. Yeah.
Because going up La Cienega, you're rolling back.
Yeah.
And
I was going down.
I get it. Yeah. But I'm saying, and that left, it's 2 lanes.
Yeah.
There's, of course, the pink dot. You don't want to fuck up in front of the pink dot.
You do not want to fuck up in front of the pink dot.
And there's 2 this way, down a hill.
That was such a novel idea. Like, whoa, this place is like a 7-Eleven, but they'll deliver to you?
It was incredible.
There was nothing like it at the time. There were no apps, and you're like,
we're
you
a million years old.
Ice cream.
Yes.
Colt 45.
Yep. Cigarettes and
condoms and a frozen pizza.
Yep.
And they'll just put it in a car, bring it to you.
Let me get this straight. Yeah. It was incredible.
But yeah, so I had this, and I knew then, I was like, okay, this can't, because I had little episodes when I was younger, and a lot of it was, having moved to Los Angeles and not liking LA, and also the thought of like integrity, and all that stuff. Who am I? Am I being true to myself, et cetera, et cetera. And then I knew it was time to get some help.
Block number 2, which I'm looking forward to because no one's ever said this. The illusion of happiness.
So the illusion of happiness goes, it speaks to a little bit of what you had brought up very, early on about the integrity and happiness and all that stuff, and whether I'm angry or anything. It just makes me think you really have to search and yourself and dig deep and like, am I happy? Because I know I should be happy.
Mm-hmm.
I have everything you could want, and what
you're living. This couldn't have gone too much better.
No, I have
got someone who's been aware of you for 30 years. I'm like, this worked out really good for Cross.
Yes, there were moments where it might not have,
mm-hmm.
and I suppose it goes to this idea of, I should be happier, right? Because I've got everything. I shouldn't be depressed, but depression is part of the human makeup,
mm-hmm.
and even the things that, I have an amazing wife, I have an amazing daughter, I have a great in-laws, my family's great, we're relatively comfortable. There are 2 things that are can make me unhappy: the state of affairs in America.
Yeah, if you care about that, it's like it's a commitment to misery in a weird way.
Yeah,
or not in a weird way. That's kind of what it is. And it used to be, I don't know. It seems like an especially severe.
Well, it is more severe. It was always there.
Yeah.
But there was a feeling of like, up until 6 years ago, there's a feeling of, or 8 years ago, there's a feeling of, whatever. It's a cycle, it's a pendulum. The pendulum goes, and these guys are assholes, but they'll be gone soon. And it didn't feel as weighty and existentialist.
Yeah.
Like there's a feeling, a very real feeling of like, oh shit, everything we ever knew may go away. And that's jarring, and all the stuff that I grew up with, making fun of the Southern Baptists, at the weird rules at my school, and I'd get in trouble for saying the word transvestite. What? Okay. And like all that's kind of just, they're anecdotes and they're things that didn't really deeply affect me, but the fact that those folks could, have minority power in a very realistic way is frightening, and disturbing and upsetting. So that's a constant thing. And I'm a bit of a news junkie, so I'm like, opening myself up to all kinds of horrors that, some people don't know, and they're willfully ignorant, and I kind of jealous of that sometimes. Like, I don't watch the news.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And then the other is work. Work is the perhaps the main thing that drives my happiness or lack thereof.
Do you think that's good?
No, I wish it wasn't. I wish I could be happy
for its own sake.
It's like this with some vocations, certainly ours, where if you don't work for 3 months, you start getting itchy, and you really do think, am I ever gonna work again? There's no other company. You don't go to a company and try to fill
no one
out.
has to employ you.
I was kind of cocky in a way for a long time. Like, look, if I say something and I can't be hired anymore, and Hollywood doesn't want to work with this bad boy rebel, then fuck it, I'll just do stand-up. I can always do stand-up. And then COVID came, and that was 1 year and 7 months, which is a lifetime.
In this business, it's a lifetime.
I can't go more than a couple months without doing a set somewhere. I have to. I got stuff to talk about, and I want to do it. And I like the thing that it gives me, where I get up on stage, and it's fun, and it's 1 year and 7 months, man.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was brought down to earth, and my cockiness about well, fuck it, I can always do stand-up. I was like, no. And that was an eye-opener.
So the illusion part is
me, I said you got to dig deep. Am I tricking myself that I'm happy because I've got all these things that by every reason should make me happy? And I am happy, but am I that happy?
Do you feel guilty about not appreciating your position?
I feel guilty about having money. I feel guilty about not being happy, not being more appreciative. Not tremendous guilt,
right,
but I feel it.
Residual.
Yeah.
And do you do anything about it?
Cocaine.
Hey, did you like that? Did you like that? Yeah, did you like it though? You want more? Don't want to work? Would rather watch videos of me grab-assing with people? First of all, go up here to subscribe, and then go up here to watch more clips. This is like when the weatherman says that there's a high pressure system coming in. I'm not really used to the green screen.